in Jakarta, the 2011 Formula Drift at the Jakarta International Expo at Kemporiong. Ryan Sage along with me, Chuck Schreiner, here to guide you through what's probably the most exciting new sport to hit Asia in a long, long time as we look at the rules. Now, based on 2 runs, we're going by a head-to-head format. The lead car must be able to clear the course without making any errors. Following cars should keep just as close to the lead as they can, that for their own safety and possible to gain advantage. Passing is not encouraged during the battles. In the event of contact between the cars, the driver at fault will, of course, lose valuable advantage points. Speed is used by monitoring a driver's speed at a specific part of the course. Now, the angle is a maximal angle at which a driver can maintain control of their vehicle, very important, without sacrificing speed. The line's ideal path the vehicle must take on course and is marked by an inner-outer clipping points, which we'll talk about later. So style, of course, the overall display of abilities of criteria. 3 judges will observe all these runs, and they will be looking at 3 things. If driver A wins, if driver B wins, or in the event of a tie. As we look at the gaily clad people here at this very exciting event here in Jakarta. We'll be right back in just a little bit to continue with this beautiful event here in Jakarta. So as we look at the course here, look at the clipping points here. There's 1, 2, 3 clipping points, and we'll talk a lot more about that in just a little bit. Okay, let's check out the ladder. The top 32 going. Look at Sato. He is through to the top. Well, he would be on to the top 16. Next up, Amandio, then Nana and Dean, Joshua B. and What a match that promises to be. Demas, Valentino, Non Rifado, Ton going against Ben Satiro, and Rio going against Bimo. That is the top half of the draw that will give us part of our last 16. The rest of it, the bottom half of the draw, Jew going up against Mimo. Another highly anticipated match, Pond and Alinka, Rowdy, Herdiko, Yvonne and Oat. Danny going against Hermawan, Kingushi, and Rediza. Armando against Akbar, and May going against Robbie and Shida. So we're going to check out the highlights of these top 32 earlier on in the match. And we're looking at number 216 now. And number 7. So here we go. Very, very close to begin with. And there, our first mishap of the match, and 216 going through. That is Dika, so he goes through. The next crew, Dean, number 108. Watch him lead the other driver through it, going against Radan, and Dean will come out on top on that one right there. There is number 36. JB getting ready to go here. He'll be going against against JB. And here they are through the blistering heat and the smoke. You can see him. And that is JB leading through the pack. And the judges will ascertain that he had the better run. So he will go through to the last 16. Going on through it again, we have Ju and Don. Ju number 3 and Don number 42 going through this. Actually, it is Mimo and Ju. There he is right there, Ju. He will come out of that. And look, a mishap there by Mimu. He can't come out of that curve cleanly, and it is Ju who finishes up in top. He will matriculate to the round of 16. And there is Ju and Don right there. The next group, here is Oat, number 151. You want to check him out. And going from Thailand, going against Yvonne Lim. So Oat right there, number 151 in the dark car. Getting the advantage coming around that first clip. And able to go down the straightway. So it is Oat. Check it out. This is Demas, number 214, going against Ricardo, number 212. And look at the advantage he gets on that first corner. Beautiful run by Demas. And he will finish up in top. He also will go through the round of 16. The next group will be Non and number 17, Rifat Sungstar.
Test 1, 2, test 1, 2.
And Non, 150 will get the advantage here. So, Ryan, what do you think so far?
Well, it's going to be amazing competition. We had a ton of top 32 highlights, and as we're checking out the last part of it right here, We've got Rio that's going to be moving on into the top 16. He was taking on number 10, Bimo there. Had a nice battle. And here we see Ken Gushi, who had a great advantage and lost. He's one of the top drivers from the United States right here. And you can see early on he makes contact, takes the car apart, and he was knocked out of competition, not able to move on into the round of 16.
Okay, here we go again, and going down to the last part of the bottom half of the draw right now. Cloud of smoke right there, and both drivers coming through it and giving it up a little bit. So here we go. Again, still with top 32 highlights. Car number 300 going right there. Oh, beautiful coming out of that turn.
Yeah, you can see right here, though, some of the drivers are having a lot of challenges dealing with a number of different turns on course. We've got 2 Skylines on course right there. And the challenge is that there's so many different turns and there's so many different areas that the drivers need to actually hit clipping points, inside and outside clipping points. Robbie Nishida right here, able to put on a clinic in the lead position. This actually went to a one more time battle. That's what happens when you have a tie. And he was able to pull it out at the end. And you could see the dust right there is actually from cars that made contact. There was some oil down on course, and that presents another challenge. But one of the top drivers in this weekend's event is Daigo Saito from Japan. Absolutely dominant performance in the round of 32, able to move on easily. And he's going to go up against our number 16 place qualifier, Wayu, in the round of 16 to see if he can make it on the finals. He is leading the points right now with Non-Saranon in second. And Ken Gushi, who was knocked out, is in third place. So somebody able to make up points there as we get into the round of 16.
Gushi, who spends a lot of his time in Asia, all for naught the last couple of drifts. Admittedly, a little bit disappointing for Ken. We talked to him a little bit before this day started. But Daigo letting it all hang out as we saw. And soon we will know exactly who is in that round of 16. And look at him just whirl through this, going up against number 16 there. Okay, so we do have the results of the top 16. Daigo Saito, no surprise there. Wahyu Putra, Akbar, Bosler, Arirong, and Daichapon, Rinaldi, and Natawut from Thailand. So Thailand and Indonesia both very well represented here at this Formula Drift. Brought to you by Achilles and sponsored by Makoda. Demis Agil, Saranon, Nakaran, Rio, Danny, Reggie, Ruli, and Robbie Nishida round out the top 16. So we know who will be in the Sweet 16, and we will come back and bring all that action to you live when we return here from ESPN from Jakarta. Don't go away. Ladies and gentlemen, to the Achilles Formula Drift, sponsored by Makata here in Jakarta. It's the Jakarta International Expo and Kim Orion, Ryan Sage, along with Chuck Schreiner. And Ryan, the top 16, Saito, as we might have expected, an easy time qualifying. Dean and Josh, a little bit of surprise there. Ju and Pan, so some guys from Thailand sneaking in the top 16 as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to see Daigo coming out here, and he's obviously helping progress the level here in Southeast Asia, a champion in his native Japan. Coming out to drift here in Jakarta with some of the drivers. And I think we're about ready to get on the road here with Daigo Saito taking on Wahyu Putra. And it sounds like green light is go. We're going to be going into our first battle right here. We'll be watching with the panel of 3 judges who are up here with us, Chuck, to check out this battle in front of thousands of fans here in Jakarta. And as Daigo shuts his door, I think we are on the way.
And a big crowd favorite is Daigo Saito. He has graced Asian courses the last couple of years, and they are off indeed.
So here we go. Daigo Saito coming in, nice initiation, shooting towards the outside wall right there. Chuck is taking a nice lead against Wahyu. Now good job on the inside flipping point. And a huge gap you can see right there, Chuck. Obviously the horsepower difference between the 2 cars. Daigo Saito, nice job on that inside clipping point. And now Wahyu straightening out a little bit, trying to catch up to Daigo Saito as he comes across the finish line. That was an excellent lead run by Daigo Saito.
And a great way to lead off the final 16, the Sweet 16 as it is. Daigo Saito from Japan. No surprise there, Ryan, just coming up with flying colors to take that race quite easily.
Well, this is the part of the tandem battle that'll be more challenging for Daigo. So we take a look at the replay right here. Nice job on that outside clipping point. He transitions back around to the second outside clipping point, and you can see right there the front bumper very close to the inside clipping point as we get towards the finish line. And as we get into the second part of this run, this is going to be the most challenging for Daigo because it's a much slower car in front of him. He's going to have to maintain the proximity needed for the judges to let him move on, but he's already done at least half of what he needs to do by taking the lead in the first run. So here we go.
Okay, second and final run possibly for Daigo Saito here. If he can establish the lead right early on, he does just that. He's trying to inside. He's beating off the point there. Trying to sneak up on that left-hand side. Can he get around? No.
Good job right here. You can see him cutting in on the inside. He's maintaining very close proximity to Wayu. He's giving him just enough room to maintain the drift angle that he needs. Wayu's doing a pretty good job off that clipping point a little bit, almost hitting it right there. And as he transitions back around toward the finish line, it looks like Daigo Saito is going to have this locked up.
Daigo Saito, to nobody's surprise, showing his class. What a thoroughbred he is, using that little bit of extra horsepower and admittedly a little bit more experience to take the win. 2-0. And we'll have to wait, of course, for the judge's decision on that. But
you can see the highlights. You can see the replay right here. Wayu does a really good job in the lead position, but Daigo Saito was able to maintain a lot of pressure, which is really what you're looking for. As long as you can maintain close proximity, have the angle in mind that you're looking for. And look at this, Daigo Saito moves on into the Grade 8.
So able to take those two races very gracefully and easily. Again, one of the crowd favorites, so he will go through to the final 8 to nobody's surprise as we look at the next two racers getting ready to come up right now. And it's going to be car number 108 we see right there. That is Dean. Dean will be going up against Kiki. So check that. He'll be going up against JB, car number 36. So 108 going against 36, Dean.
An interesting story from JB, actually coming all the way from Australia, popping into a car that's not even his own, making some adjustments to it. I had an opportunity to sit with him in the pit a couple days ago as he was developing the car and trying to figure out the suspension for it. He said he's having a little bit of trouble with it, but he's starting to feel more comfortable in the car now. He's able to qualify pretty high, and now he gets his opportunity to move into the tandem rounds and see if he can move in the Grade 8. So here we go, off the front line. JB will take the lead, or take the chase position. Nice initiation right there by Raiden. Shoots out towards the outside right there. Now JB starting to close the gap right there. Good proximity. Now the transition back across, and you can see JB diving in. Very, very close proximity, but Raiden taking advantage of it. He slows up a little bit right there, shooting around towards the outside in our last inside clipping point. And now as we cross the finish line, back in between JD and Raiden.
Fantastic action right there. You can see JB taking the line a little bit wide on the transition, allowing Raiden to get back into the race, but I don't think it's going to be enough. There is the car from Dean right there, and take it through as Ryan.
You can see right here, JB cuts in, is able to maintain a pretty good angle, but then kind of gets held up a little bit. The judges will take that into consideration. Raiden, on the other hand, goes way wide outside the clipping point, allows JB to close the door. And now we will have an opportunity for Dean to take the lead right here, and JB will chase him. Excuse me, Josh will take the lead, and Dean will have to chase him down. It is much tougher in the chase position because you have to always anticipate the driver in front of you. So here we go.
Dean, the hometown favorite.
JB taking the lead on the outside. Dean, nice job on the proximity, almost hits him with straight out. Just the exact same thing that JB did, and now he flops his line. He is way behind, 2 to 3 car lengths behind JB. The transition back around towards his last inside clipping point, and Dean makes a critical mistake in the beginning portion of this run, which allows JB to establish a lead and able to move out in front ahead right there. So we'll have to go to the judges' scorecard, Chuck, but I think JB has a pretty good advantage against Raiden.
So JB, as we said, on a borrowed car, nonetheless, getting the job done, taking care of business. We look at Dean, and always going to be tough for him from that angle.
You can see right there, that's a mistake that I think JB was able to capitalize on. You can see the gap established right there. Dean was so far behind at the rest of the pace as far as Josh is concerned, and we'll see what the judges have to say about this. There you go. Josh moves on. JB moves on into the Grade 8.
So great story there. A real tight first match, first race result, but then Dean faltering badly, as Ryan said, going much too wide on his line, not able to get through, and Dean will fall out of the race. So we look at Aronong going against Dechapon right now, another one of these Thai guys who have embraced this sport so greatly. In fact, we will have a drift in Thailand in the not too distant future. So Ju going against Pon, both of these guys from Thailand, 3 against 42.
Absolutely. The Thai drivers have been very well represented in the sport of drifting. They have promoted it well, and their talent has really shown that they can compete at any level. So we're about to see two of the guys, actually teammates, go up against each other. Both Red Bull drivers, Ju and Pon, putting on good runs to make it all the way into the top 16. And who will move on into the grade A is the question, Chuck.
Always a lot of fun to see two guys from the same country going at it, mixing it up. This is for national pride in a neutral side. You can't do better than that. Look at that wide turn.
Nice job right there by Ju. Step Ju. Pon is right behind him, closing the door. Some contact right there. Now cutting back across is Ju and Pon. A ton of smoke on track, Chuck. This is unbelievable. Barely going to see. Oh, and Ju goes too wide and spins out. Leaves the door right open. Pon flies right by. And now he is cutting across towards the finish line. A huge mistake by Ju Truck. Basically what looks like happened there, he just overextended his angle, was not able to maintain it around the inside clipping point, ended up spinning, and the way that the judges look at that is they essentially consider that a 0. So for him to be able to make that up, he's going to have to make a 0 for the other driver. But right here, starting off the action, very, very tight. Good proximity right there. Then a little bit of a gap established. And as they transition back around, look at the angle right here that Ju was able to maintain up until this point where he loses it, spins out, and lets Pond go right by.
So Ju trying to be a little bit too aggressive, pays the price, and Pond with the one-match lead right now as we go into number 2. So we'll see if Ju will play a little bit more conservative, especially that same place again. But up until that point, he was right there, Ryan.
Absolutely. So Pond will now take the lead, having a pretty good advantage in the first battle. Ju will try to chase him down, put pressure on him, see if maybe he can make Pond spin. At this point, that's the only thing that can actually happen that would allow Ju to move on. So here we go. Coming down the front straight is Pond. Let's look at his initiation. Nice job right there. Grabbing a little bit of e-brake. Now transitioning towards the outside, almost hitting the wall. Ju trying to put some pressure on him as they come on the inside clipping point right here. Shooting a little bit wide on the line. Now transitioning back across. So much smoke on track. Good proximity right there by Ju, but a little bit of a shallower angle. Now hitting that inside zone right there is Pond coming into the second and last inside zone. And you know what? I think Pond has got this one locked up.
Pond doing a great job. You can see from the very, very get-go, Ju having to play catch-up, had to produce something very, very special. But again, cut it just a little bit too wide and trying to be aggressive, trying to do the right thing. But Pond, as you can see right there, established himself, getting the momentum, finishing up very, very strong indeed. So Pond taking the match against Ju. Watch it finish up.
And there you go. Pond moving on into the grade 8. A good battle, but a huge mistake up front by Ju, allowing Pond to move forward. And as we get into deeper into these battles, we're going to see greater and greater competition. But here in the round of 16, these drivers are putting on a bunch of battles for everybody here to watch as we are here at the Achilles Formula Drift presented by Makota. And up next, Renati Arrington. Rowdy Renati Arrington taking on Nadawut Prabra.
Both these guys, no surprise that they're in the position that they are right now. There is car number 27 going against car number 151. Perhaps the favorite.
Well, Rowdy has been developing that car. He's got a new motor in it, a nice V6. It sounds like a V8. You'll hear it very, very loud on course. But Oat is a seasoned veteran drifter. He's been doing this for a long time. He's got the RX-7 as a chassis of his choice. And here we go down the front straight. Rowdy Renati Arrington will take the lead against Oat. There you go. Nice little flick indication. Outside wall. Nice job at Oat. Trying to chase him down. Right there. Now switch back across. Shoots on the line, allowing Rowdy Renati Arrington to take a lead. Nice job on that inside clipping point by Rowdy Renati. And as we get into the last portion of this run, Owen makes a big mistake. As he crosses the finish line way behind Rowdy Renati.
Yeah, Ray fundamentally very, very sound. He kept a very tight line, especially coming off that first turn out there. Owen trying to make something happen, trying to force it, and a little bit too aggressive. We've seen this before if we watch it again from the start. Right away, Ray, you can see him very, very tight. And coming around this corner, whoa, just as Ryan was saying, Oat coming way wide and not able to make up the difference. So Oat will be down by 1 as we go into the second race, confirmation. Very, very exciting stuff here in Jakarta. If you've just joined us, it's the Achilles Formula Drift, sponsored by Makata. From the Jakarta International Expo. Ryan Sage along with Chuck Schreiner, hoping you're enjoying the action as we guide you through this. If you're new to the sport, hold on to your belt.
All right, here we go. Now Oat's going to take the lead. A good position for him to be in. Very quick down the front straight. Nice initiation. Nice angle right there. Roddy Bernardi trying to take him down, and now Bernardi starting to close the door a little bit on Oat. But Oat not giving up just yet as they come across this inside clipping. But and he straightens out right there. Oat makes a huge mistake. Bernardi sees it right in front of him, knows he's got an advantage. And as we cross the finish line, I think Bernardi Arrington is going to take home a victory in a very good performance by both drivers, but Rowdy Renati Chuck just having the better line angle overall in both those runs.
And you got to be impressed with the fundamentals of racing that Renati exhibited right there. Never really had to get away from his line, just kept very, very tight, kept his nose nice and straight, and made Oat do all the heavy lifting. At the end of the day, a little bit too much for him.
Yeah, well, you know, that's the tough part. You can practice all you want, but at the end of the day, you got to be able to exemplify it on course. And as we go to see who wins, look at this. Rowdy Renati Arrington takes home the win.
A little bit of an upset there. We said at the outset that Oat, probably because his experience, might be expected to be the favorite. Not so. All right, we're going to take a break, pay some bills, and we'll be right back in just a moment. Jakarta, the International Expo at Kemarayana, and well, so far, Ryan, a lot of surprises. Oh, we see he is gone. He would have been favored to win that given his experience, but now a couple of new guys, number 214 DeMoss going against 150 Non.
Yeah, Non-Overdrive having a spectacular event in Singapore, finishing second there, only to lose to Daigo Saito, and now able to make up some good points in the round of 16 right here as he tries to move on to the round 8 with Ken Gushi going out. An opportunity for him to keep moving up the ladder as we get ready for competition right here. There's only 4 events in the Formula Drift Southeast Asian Series, so every point, every battle important along the way, Chuck.
And these guys from Thailand continue to impress the crowd and us especially. I know you're impressed by looking at the organization that these guys have, how they have put it all together for this very, very important event. As you said, a lot of points on sale right now. Here we go.
Here we go. D-Moss coming down the front straight. Nice initiation right there. Shoot towards the outside. The Overdrive trying to close the door to the fastest car. You can see right here, sucking up. Closing the line right there on the inside point. Nice job on that zone right there by both competitors. And now with Non-Overdrive starting to put on the pressure against D-Moss, closing the door. But D-Moss, no slouch out front in the lead position, doing a pretty good job transitioning to this last inside clipping point and coming across the finish line. A very respectable run by both competitors. D-Moss in the lead and Non-Overdrive giving chase. Now D-Moss is going to have to switch it up, and he's going to have to chase down Non-Overdrive.
That's right. Great run by both these guys. Again, fundamentally sound. Both drivers. You didn't see any of the sort of crazy mistakes that we saw in the last 2 runs. These guys, look how close they are to their clipping points. Oh, well, a little bit of a mistake right there, but stays right on line and finishes it up in great shape. Both these drivers, you said, Ryan, so anybody's race still.
Absolutely. So Non-Overdrive to take the lead against D-Moss. Both competitors, I'd say, pretty even right about now. Non, obviously, one of the more experienced drivers coming out of Thailand, trying to represent Thailand. As we move into the latter part of this competition, we're really going to see the level of skill start to pop up as we wait for the checker flag. And here we go. Non coming off the front straight. D-Moss will fall in right here as we get ready for the transition. Nice speed right there by Non-Overdrive, transitioning back around towards the outside wall. Very, very close to that zone. Look at D-Moss applying the pressure of Non-Overdrive. Doing a great job. What a surprise by him. Now transitioning back into the second outside wall. Nice proximity right there. A nice angle by D-Moss. Oh, and Non-Overdrive goes way wide, way off that inside clipping point. Feeling the pressure from D-Moss in the rear. And I got to tell you, Chuck, nice battle right there by both competitors. But D-Moss showing a lot of power in the chase position. I'm very interested to see what the judges have to say about this.
That's correct. And after both heats, we can see as we check out this one again, look at D-Moss sticking very, very close. And the judges look like 2-1-4. D-Moss is going to come out ahead. This is unofficial, but check it out. official. Yes, and there it is. Dimas Agil advances from Indonesia. So slight upset there, especially given the fact that Nunn did so well in Singapore, Ryan.
Absolutely. He's been one of the top drivers. Nunn has spent some time in the United States. He's come over and competed in a few Formula Drift USA events. And Dimas basically just shut the door down and said, hey, look, I don't care what you've done, but I'm going to take you home. And that's exactly what he did. He took him out of competition. He's going to be moving on into the Great 8.
Okay, next group up for you. Tong, number 7, going against Rio, number 10. Perhaps Tong a little bit of a favorite here. He is probably more the household world, but we'll see what happens here. We've already had a couple of big upsets. Again, Oat is out. He would have been highly favored. Non, we just saw him go out. So on any day, and this is how close this competition is as they are off.
Here we go. Tong coming down the front straight very, very fast. Nice aggressive initiation right there. Look at the back. Nice job right there. Shooting towards the outside. Now starting to pull the gap just a little bit. You can see right here, Rio SB hitting that inside zone. Tong is off to the races. Lots of smoke on track and cutting back around to the inside. Nice job on that inside clipping point. And going nice and wide right there. Good job by Tong at the lead position. And you can see right here, lots of smoke on track, having to deal with the presence of smoke. It's very difficult for the drivers in the chase position to be able to follow the car where they need to go. But Tong putting on a strong performance in this first run.
Taking the initiative right from the get-go is Tong, as you can see him. Beautiful clearance coming around that first corner, and always it was going to be difficult for Rio as he has to adjust to very, very acute turnings. That is because Tong got his nose out, and there we have it right there. So Tong will go against Rio in run number 2 in just a moment. Remember, in the top 16, the winner of these will advance to the 8 here in Jakarta. The Achilles Formula Drift, sponsored by Makoda. Come on out if you're in the area. Still a lot of time. The crowd is starting to swell in the grandstand area. Beautiful day for racing. Not as hot as it was a little bit earlier in the day. We are ready for run number 2.
And here we go, Rio to take the lead and Tong to chase him down. A lot of speed coming down the front straight as Rio goes a little bit shallow right there. Then shoots towards the outside. Tong a few mistakes right there, switching back, going very, very wide, transitioning back to this outside wall. Now starting to close the door. And we can see right there, nice job by Rio. Oh, and Tong spins out. Are you kidding me? Tong spins out. A huge mistake by Tong as he was applying the pressure. Loses angle and basically gives the win to Rio SB. And look at Rio SB is pumped. He is pumped with the door wide open. Unbelievable move.
Oh, fantastic stuff, especially towards the end. Watch this stuff again. Great angle, great angle. Coming around, trying to get to the inside. Great stuff by both these drivers as they finish up and matriculate to the final 8 here. Tong and Rio.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chuck, it has been very, very exciting. Let's go to the official scorecard right here. And I got to imagine that it's going to be Rio. But let's wait for the graphic to come up officially.
Well, the first run, a big, big edge for Tong, but Rio did a bang-up job in the second that you saw. And as you said, he was very, very pumped indeed. He feels that he's done enough to steal this race, but we'll still have to wait, and the judges taking a long time to finish out their forms. There is a lot to look at, and confirmation Rio is the winner. He will advance. So a little bit of upset right there, too. So number 210 over at number 7, Tong. Tong will sit down, and Rio will advance to the final 7 as we look at Danny Satowanda and Reggie going at it.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Chuck. And I'll tell you from the driver's perspective, it changes everything when you get thousands and thousands of people in here. And during practice, when you're by yourself and qualifying, it's much easier when you have cameras pointed on you and you got thousands of people watching. You get mistakes like Tong made right there, and Rio's going to be moving on. We've got one more battle right here as we get into the latter part of the top 16. It's going to be Danny and Reggie. There we go. Nice initiation right there, shooting him out towards the outside. Reggie trying to close the door. On track. You can see, a mistake right there by Reggie in the rear. Now transitioning back across over there is Danny, trying to maintain the proximity of Reggie. Oh, hits him right there on the inside clipping point. Now shooting back around towards this last inside clipping point. Lots of smoke on track, and the drivers both making some very clear mistakes right there. But exciting for the fans nonetheless.
Absolutely. You can see Reggie trying to hold on for dear life around those corners, and Danny trying to bust through Don't know if he was able to do that enough, but the first run is certainly very, very exciting. As Ryan said, check out the smoke as we come around. Not at that point. There we go. Starting to build up there, and you can see the car, Reggie 202, firmly in the lead right there. But Danny able to bust through on that inside. And we'll have to see how this transpires. There they are right there. Wow.
All right, Danny Perdico getting super aggressive. We are clear to send.
So Danny and Rosita.
Here we go for the second battle where Danny will take the lead. Reggie going to fall right into the chase position. A close battle in the first run, but here we go, coming down the front straight. Nice initiation along the wall right there. Great job by Danny. Now Reggie up front. Oh, making a big mistake. Almost going offline right there. And Danny missing that clipping point and straightening out. Now Danny trying to put the gas down and move out ahead. Reggie trying to close the door right here as we come across the inside clipping point. Going way wide right there. So many mistakes on track right now, Chuck. Both drivers having a hard time. I would not want to be a judge in this position when you have so many errors like that, but this is what happens when you put pressure on these drivers. Thousands of people here. It all comes down to being able to focus your attention on the task at hand and see how you can move forward into the grade 8.
And you're right, a plethora of errors, and we'll start looking at some of these right now. Both these guys really not up to the task in run number 2 after a spectacular, actually, run number 1. But you can see mistakes galore coming out of these turns. Look at that. Another one, just not able to hold their lines very well at all, so the judges will have to scratch their heads and come up with a winner. Somebody has to advance to the final 8, and we'll see who that is. Danny looking very good. Looked like he might have it sewn up after run number 1, but Reggie coming back, and it's just a matter of seeing who made the least mistakes. They both ran out of steam, no other way to put it, towards the end of that second run.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can see the judges conversing over here. They're having a hard time trying to figure out exactly who's going to move home and move into the round of 8. It was hard matching the errors back and forth, but ultimately you got to come up with a decision. And here we go. Rediza moving on into the grade 8, Chuck.
Well, that's a little bit of a surprise, especially after that great first run that Danny had, but Reggie doing enough in that second run to pop through. So really Armando going against Robbie Nishida. Now this is a race that a lot of people have been holding their breath and waiting for. Might be even considered one of the feature races of today. Him and Dago perhaps. Armando, one of the, of course, hometown favorites. He has probably the best name recognition of all of them. So we'll see what he can do in this race. Number 300, checking him out. And Robbie, number 96.
Robbie Nishida coming in real close. Coming down the front straight. Now Robbie Nishida, very well known in Japan and also in the U.S. Robbie Nishida makes a critical error. That has got to be a car problem, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, and he goes off course. That was not a mistake. That was some sort of car detonation or malfunction. And Robbie Nishida, the second victim from the U.S., seemingly going out early, just like Ken Gushi. Ken Gushi was a driver's error, and Robbie Nishida seemingly having some sort of mechanical problems right here on initiation, not able to get into the drift position. You can see right here, he tries to initiate, not able to, and straightens out, loses traction right there, and basically just drives off course, Chuck. So very mysterious happening right here with Robbie Nishida, and I have to imagine that he will probably utilize 5 minutes to try to fix his car to get back on course. That is valid with the rules, but we'll have to just see and wait.
Well, I don't know if there's a malfunction in the steering or the drivetrain or transmission or whatever, but just could not get it going on that curve, but was straight as an arrow. So very perfunctory job for Amani from Indonesia just to finish it up. And, as Ryan was saying, you do have 5 minutes, but he's not going to need it. Robbie, in fact, is out. He will retire from this race, so his dream of winning this Formula Drift goes by the wayside. And another Indonesian matriculating to the final 8. So not what was drawn up by the experts, but we have seen plenty of upsets thus far, Ryan.
Absolutely. You can see Daigo Saito right there consoling Robbie Nishida, probably trying to figure out exactly what happened with the car. Obviously mechanical failure. You can see up here we're with the spotters, and they are basically letting us know that it was a mechanical failure, but it does not matter. Armando, representing Indonesia, is going to be moving on into the grade 8, and we're starting to see a very good field of drivers come together here with a few upsets. But Daigo Saito still looming out there, and who will win here at the Achilles Formula Drift here in Indonesia?
Well, we have lots of pressure being applied by both Indonesia and Thailand on this Japanese driver. And what a crowd! Initially, we thought might be a little bit warm for people to come out, but that hasn't happened. The clouds have come over, and people are here very, very happy on a Sunday afternoon as the weather has cooperated. We want to thank our sponsors. We mentioned the Achilles and Makota, but also some other official sponsors. Mansion 88, we want to thank them for their support of this great event. Dapper Paco, also Rio Banang, Budweiser, the Indonesian Tourist Board, of course, and we want to thank all of our sponsors without whom this would not be possible. And there's the Budweiser logo right there. Okay, the final 8, Daigo Saito, Josh Batchelor, Dechipan Toyangardon, Renati Arento, Agil, Rio, Reggie, and Ruli Armando. Those are your final 8. Count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Indonesian, 1 from Thailand, and an Australian, and a Japanese, so very international. And we're going to break away and come back for the final 8 in just a minute. Don't you dare go away. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are here in Jakarta for the Achilles Formula Drift, sponsored by Makata. Achilles meet has been very, very successful so far, and Ryan, we have had some upsets now, but we're ready for the top 8 now. Daigo Sato going against Josh B. Pond going against Rowdy. Demas going against Rio. Redizo going against Armando. So those are your top 8. And from that, we will get to the final 4.
Absolutely. And what a showing by the Indonesian drivers, having put on this wonderful event for us here in Indonesia. They have represented themselves well by putting 5 guys into the final 8. And of course, Daigo Saito going to be taken on JB right now, all the way from Australia, and this is going to be an interesting matchup. But Daigo Saito really has a commanding lead over a lot of these car builds because of what he's done with his car. So we'll have to see how Josh adjusts to that, and if he's able to move on into the final 4.
Amazing that he would go this far in a borrowed car, but such is the skill of these guys. Sometimes they can make it happen. No matter how unfamiliar they are with their equipment, that is their skill level. So we're just about ready to get off the mark right here. Daigo probably would have to be considered the favorite. He is the veteran presence, but we have seen favorites go by the wayside. Both American drivers gone, and we are off.
And look at this, Daigo Saito out to a commanding lead already, about a 2 to 3 car gap. Initiates very well, shooting out towards the outside. Listen to that song right there. Josh tries to close the gap. Transitions back around to the second outside wall. Daigo Saito all over the place, doing a nice job in the lead position. Perfect on it. Oh, and look at Josh. Goes offline, takes out that clipping point. You know what? I don't fault him for being aggressive and taking an inside line. His car is clearly a lot slower than Daigo's, but in doing so, he takes out a clipping point and makes a huge mistake. Daigo with an early advantage.
That's right, and another reason is he had fallen behind so far, so early to Daigo. He felt like he needed to make it happen, and we've seen this 2 or 3 times before, going back to the Oat run where he made a critical mistake, where he felt he needed to be aggressive in the first run, then even compounded the mistake in the second one. But right now, you can see JB just trying to force action a little bit. Daigo holding his line and coming through in flying colors.
And JB is a very accredited driver in Australia. He's one of the top drivers there in that country, coming over here to compete against these guys. It's nice to see him in the grade 8, but it's a tough battle against Daigo Saito. But at least now he gets an opportunity to take the lead position and try to show everybody the skills that he has in drifting. And Daigo Saito will have to try to chase him down. Looks like possibly a false start right here. Not sure what happened right there, Chad. But Daigo's just sitting at the line.
Perhaps a little bit of miscommunication.
Yep. Coming in from the officials right here, Chuck, it sounds like it was a false start on behalf of JB. So we will reset this. There will be no implications for that. It does happen from time to time. The drivers are literally on edge when they're at the start line, and these things do happen, but we need to have a clean start. We want to see both drivers drifting the course. So JB will now come back around to the start line with a little bit more tire wear than he had when he left. And we'll see if that's a factor.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you the wear and tear on the equipment. This equipment is, you know, very, very fragile, especially the tires. So no time to change them, that's for sure. So he's just going to have to let it go. And right now, you can bet his corner is talking to him about those very things right now.
And JB headed back up to the line right now. Obviously, you know, these kind of things also play mental games with you as well. You never know exactly what the full outcome of it's going to be. But JB going to take the lead against Daigo Saito. I know Daigo probably sitting there calmly, ready to do the deal, but ultimately you never know what's going to happen in this sport of drifting. As we get ready for the second battle, we are waiting for the green light to drop, and there we go.
Both of them marked very, very cleanly that time.
And here we go, transitioning right in. Daigo Saito giving it a little bit of space right there. Now starting to close the door and moving into the inside line. Barely 2 feet between both drivers. Daigo Saito putting on a clinic and almost nearly hitting JB right there on this second inside clipping point. Perfect as they transition back around to the last part of the course, Chuck. And look at the clinic that Daigo Saito is putting on.
Amazing stuff, and you can tell by the response of the crowd and even the judges and officials up here, they appreciate a good run when they see it, and we have just been treated to an excellent run by Daigo Saito that time of Japan. So undoubtedly, he will be going through to the round of 4.
And you can see right here, Daigo Saito gives him a little bit of space early on. Then he's able to close the door, does a good job avoiding some of the mistakes that Josh made by going a little bit too wide on clipping points. And look at this. Yep, we already knew it. Daigo Saito moves on.
Well, you can tell by the response of the crowd, almost a standing ovation all the way around. There was a couple points in that last run. We saw just how close Daigo Saito played it. Saw missing JB's car by about 2 feet, but always in control. So confirmation he will go through. Arento going against Japan. So Indonesia head-to-head against the Thai. The Thais are doing a fantastic job all throughout Asia and Singapore as well, but they are represented here in the Final 8 once again.
So Rowdy Renati Arrington taking on Pond right here, and I'm looking forward to this battle. Both drivers have done a pretty good job to get themselves to this point so far, able to display the skill it needs to make it not only into qualifying in top 32, into top 16, and here we are in the Great 8. The next positions are obviously the positions that you get to stand